Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining us today. We are going to talk about whiteboard.chat. This is our beginners webinar. We do alternate weeks of beginner webinar and advanced webinars because we have a lot of stuff to cover. We also recently started some teacher-led webinars as well, where you can sign up online on our website. If you go to here, you can see the whole list of webinars that are available to you. There's the advanced features and teacher-led series as well. And so this is the agenda. We're going to demonstrate some of the basic features of whiteboard.chat. We'll invite you to experience this live with us as we go along. And anytime if you have questions, I request you to please type them out on the Zoom chat, and Sid, who's my colleague, will read them out, club them together to the relevant sections, and we'll read them out and answer them as we go along. And we typically stay, the webinar ends at the top of the hour, but we stay 30 minutes past the end. So if you want to interact with us, if you want to talk to us, we'll be here. Whiteboard.chat, just as an introduction, is completely designed by teachers from all around the world, right? We have a Facebook group where we have a large community of teachers that share ideas with each other and with us and how to develop this. We are a California-based company. We are a small startup based in California, and we are the people behind whiteboard.chat. Where does whiteboard.chat fit in the virtual class ecosystem? It's primarily in the observability and the engagement space. It works really well with all of the video conferencing tools, just like we are using Zoom today. It works with Microsoft Teams, it works with Google Meet as well. And it works decently with all of the different LMSs that are out there as well. Teachers either embed whiteboard.chat into Canvas, or they can put links into their Google Classroom or Schoology, which we'll show you as well how, how to do that. But this is the main feature, the marquee feature behind whiteboard.chat, the ability for the teacher to observe each and every child as they're progressing through their lesson at the same time, right, in real time. So this is the main feature. It's almost like as if you are omnipresent in a real classroom, and you can stand behind each child's shoulder and look over their shoulder and see what they're doing, where they're struggling, how well they're performing. Even the quiet ones, you can figure out where they are in terms of the lesson, and you can help them, join them on one-on-one basis, or put them in group boards, which I will show you as well, and help them that way. Whiteboard.chat is fairly new in the educational world. We are not an ed tech company. Well, maybe now we are, but we didn't intend to be an educational technology company. This world is completely new to us. We launched whiteboard.chat in August of last year. Primarily after COVID hit, we saw our own children struggling with remote learning, and we created this tool. And since then, it's been taken over by teachers, and they guide us and tell us what to do. If you like whiteboard.chat, it's used all around the world. I think maybe one or two, Iceland and maybe another country in Africa doesn't use it, but it's used everywhere else around the world. We are growing quite exponentially. It's almost up to 500,000 people using it every, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks, right? So it's quite a lot. And it's completely based on suggestions we receive from teachers. So either you can email us at feedback@whiteboard.chat, or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And if you do end up using Whiteboard, I recommend that you join the Teachers Using Whiteboard.chat Facebook group, which Sid can post a link, right? And follow along how teachers use it. So I'm going to jump in. Whiteboard.chat is a So I see some people trying to chat with me. I cannot look at the chat and talk at the same time. So just put the question either to Sid or in the group directly, right? Whiteboard.chat is a browser based tool, right? It works on a varied set of devices. It works on iPads, on Chromebooks, on PCs, on Macs. Some people also use it on mobile phones, even though it is hard to use because of the limited space, but people do use it on mobile phones as well. And student privacy is super important to us. We have our privacy and terms of conditions here on the bottom left, right? We are COPPA compliant. We have signed multiple agreements with school districts, with schools from around the world pertaining to student privacy. So if your school has a requirement or your district has a requirement, please email us at feedback.whiteboard.chat and we can quickly go through those formalities to get it approved for your district or your school. And so it's super easy to start using it. You just click the start drawing button, right? There are two modes. One is start collaborating mode, which is like any other whiteboard that is out there. Everybody ends up on the same page. You can write over each other, you can collaborate, but you can even erase each other's stuff and all of that, right? But what we are going to primarily focus on today is this teaching mode, where you can create, assign, and live teach individual student boards, right? So we're going to focus on this mode. You just get started by clicking this. Teachers don't need an account to start using whiteboard.chat either. The only reason why teachers need an account is to save their work. Students never need an account, even to save their work. Their works get saved automatically with the teacher as well in the cloud. I'll show you how. But students never need an account to use whiteboard.chat. So I'm going to just switch this back to my default tool for now. Okay, so you get started. You get a basic whiteboard where you can draw anywhere you want. You can type anywhere you want, right? You can just place your cursor and start typing, and it'll put a text box there. You can change the size of the text box if you want to very easily just by dragging the corner and keep putting text wherever you want to on the board. On the bottom right are the basic tools like the color selector. So you can pick a different color. You see the whole interface changes to my pen color, which some people like, some people don't like, but kids like it a lot. You can change that setting in the gear menu as well if you don't want the teacher interface to change with the pen color. There's a thickness slider where you can adjust the thickness of the pen. So you can make it thicker or thinner depending on which way you want to. There's an opacity slider, so you can change the opacity of the pen as well. So if you want to use it as a highlighter, you can, right? And then the third thing is the text size. So you can change the size of the text. You can also change to a different font right from here. So this is the default font that it comes with, right? And you can change the font from the bottom right as well. So these are like the basic tools that people use to just get started. Now, most teachers, the way they get started is by uploading content into the whiteboard, right? You can upload PDFs, you can upload images, you can copy paste from the web. So what I'll show you is uploading a file. So you go here on the bar. This is the main toolbar. You can open this up by clicking this hamburger menu and you can see more details if you want to. But so this is the upload file. You can upload from your computer. We are still waiting on Google to approve this app. So you can upload from the Google Drive as well. But you can upload from the computer for now. You can look for the file that you want to upload. It can be any kind of PDF. Most teachers have a multi-page PDF that they either use from a worksheet or they convert a Google slide deck into a PDF as well and upload it into whiteboard.chat. What whiteboard does is that for PDFs which are multi-page, it automatically creates for each page in the PDF, it creates a page in whiteboard.chat. So there's my page number 1, there's page number 2, and page number 3. Right? So I had 3 pages in my PDF. It automatically created 3 pages in my workbook, and I can start using it right away. I can start annotating on it. I can start typing on it, right? I can start doing whatever else I need to. And that's it. That's the basics to get started. You can take your virtual textbooks, you can take lessons from online, anything, upload it and get started with just with that. Now to invite students, this is an important step, right? You prepared your work. To invite student, use this button, the invite button on the top right, right? You click this invite button. You can either have the kids scan the QR code if they're on a mobile device or an iPad, they can just scan this QR code, or they can use the class code. But what most teachers do is copy this invite URL by clicking this button, and you can place this URL in your LMS, in your calendar, or in your chat window, right? So what I'll do is I'm going to invite Sid so he can be a pretend student with me, right, on this whiteboard. And I'll open another browser window on the side, incognito mode, so that you can see from a student experience as well. So when the students join for the first time and they have never used whiteboard, they'll be asked for a name, any name that is used to identify themselves to the teacher, right? So I'll call this guy student 1 and set the name, right? And then what happens is they get their own copy of the whiteboard right away. So I can shrink this window a little bit so you can see the student experience on the right and the teacher experience on the left. Right, so this is the teacher board, this is the student board. Now the student has access to their own copy. You can see that they're writing, they can start writing on it, they can start typing on it, and they can start doing whatever else that they want to, right, on the whiteboard. The teacher on the other side has this ability to view all the teachers, all the students in the class by going into this grid mode. Right? In the grid view, you can see all your teachers, all your students as they're working live with the camera that is attached onto their shoulder, right? So you can see, look, this is Sid is drawing a tree on whiteboard.chat. The student is here on page number 1. They're doing some activity on page, this one is doing some activity on page number 1. If they flip to a different page, so if they're done with page number 1 and they go to page number 2, you can see that their grid view tile also automatically updates to that page, right? And then you as a teacher can go join them on their board as well. So you click this button, you click join, and now you can go to their board and work with them on a one-on-one basis, right? You can either tell them good job, right? You can give them stickers. I'll show you these manipulators in a second. We have like thousands of manipulators here, but you can give them a sticker. For example, let's say there's a Valentine's heart, right? And they get the sticker on their board, and then you can go back to the top of the class and watch the rest of the students as they're doing their work. And you can help them on one-on-one basis, or you can tell them pay attention here. There are different means to communicate with the students, but this is the simplest, where you can just join them and you can observe them at the same time. So I'm going to stop here for a second and see if there are questions.
Yeah, so there's a privacy related question, Pawan. How is the privacy of students protected with this tool?
So like I said earlier, our privacy is super important to us. Students never need an account. We are COPPA compliant. We don't store any of the student PII data on our things. There is no selling to advertising. So I request you to review our privacy policy. And if you have questions or concerns, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to talk through it.
Okay. And when the teacher joins a student's board, is the student alerted about it?
No, so the students, the only indication that the student gets when who's on their board is they can look at the avatars here and they can see when the teacher joins that the teacher is on their board.
Yep, that's it, Pawan.
Okay.
You can keep going.
All right. The students have the ability to request for help as well. So they can raise their hand by clicking this icon here. They can say, I need help on page number 1, right? On page number 2. The teacher gets a notification. They can click this and it will directly take them to that page where the student raised their hand, right? Then you can go back to the instructor board. The student can also signal to the teacher if they finished their work, right? They can signal to the teacher that they finished, and you will see a list of all the students who finished in a chronological order where they finished their work. And you can do auto corrections, which I will show you in a second as well. You can auto correct so that they can get instant feedback onto their work that they have done so far. Right, so those are like the basic tools. This is all you need to get started with whiteboard.chat. The toolbars and all of these things do look overwhelming, but this is the basics. That's it. You can hide most of the tools from the students. You can change the toolbar, for example, to baby mode, like we say. You go to the gear menu, you say students see very simple tools, right? So the students have a very limited set of tools on their side that they interact with, right? So this is all you need to get started with whiteboard.chat. This is what most teachers do with it, right? None of the advanced features, which I'm going to just talk about in a second. Right. So now if I go to page number 4, I'll show you some of the tools on the left hand side, right? There's a basic drawing tool. So if you're one thing that some teachers, if your browser window is small, these tools actually get hidden. So there's a little scroll at this side. So you remember that the tools are there, it's just hidden. There's an eraser. This is an object eraser, right? So it erases complete objects. Easier way to get to an eraser is just do a right click and drag, and it will become an eraser from a drawing tool, right? So you can easily toggle between those two. The most of the other tools are in this section, the tools section, which I will show you. There's like a line drawing tool, an arrow drawing tool, a shape drawing tool where you can draw circles, rectangles, polygons, right? You can say, I want a five-sided polygon. You can fill this with colors. You can double click or right click. You can say, fill this with a color, right? And it will fill it with a color. You can change the outline as well. And and the pen color always matches what I have set here. So that's the basic color, right? You can do, there's a snip or crop tool built in as well. So if you want to, if you have uploaded a PDF, for example, right, and you want to select parts of it, so you can just use the select tool. You can say, I want only this part of this PDF, and you can either crop to that or copy this if you want to make multiple copies for playing games with the students. So you can just crop it, and it'll just keep that part of the PDF for you, nothing else. Right? There is multiple colors of post-it notes built in, so you can use them for signaling stuff, blue, pink, green, right? There's a rich text editor built in as well. So if you want to write, like, for example, longer paragraphs, so if you want to write longer paragraphs, you can use the rich text editor where you can keep typing, and you have different alignment tools just like Word and other utilities, and the teacher can still observe it, but you can write longer paragraph with the rich text editor as well. There is an infinite cloner built in as well. So if you want to clone any objects, any of the objects, either it's your post-it note, let's say with a drawing on it, right? You can use the infinite cloner. Most of these tools are meant for teacher use for preparing for the lesson, not for the kids. The kids have a much easier way to clone, which I will show you. They don't need to go through the infinite cloner and stuff like that, but you can easily use this to make copies of objects that you want to. Right, there is a way to create links to external websites. So you can say, I want a external website or a different page in the, so if I want to put a link to google.com, or I want to embed a link inside here, you can embed that. And when the students click it, right, so if they were on page number 4, if they click it, it'll take them to Google in a different tab, right? And they can close it and come back to whiteboard.chat, right? You can also do that for different page numbers in the, so if you want them to go to their page number 3 for an activity, you can put that same link for a different link. There's a dice built in, which is available for younger kids to play with. There are 2 kinds of dice. This is the older version, right, which is the more traditional one, which is built in as well. You can hide it by going back to this menu and hiding it. right? There is a way to embed YouTube videos. So if you want to embed a YouTube video inside whiteboard.chat, let's say I want to embed one of our videos, right? Uh, let's say get shareable link, or you just put the link to the YouTube video here. You can say start at time 20 seconds, end at time 50 seconds. So it'll play 30 seconds worth of video on the kids uh, site, right? The kids just have to click play, and it'll play from 20 seconds to 50 seconds, and it'll remove all the ads and all of that as well. So they can watch this as they are preparing for the lesson, either synchronously or asynchronously, right? Similarly, you can embed external websites onto whiteboard.chat as well. So there is a way to embed a website, which like an iframe website, which allows to be embedded. So there is this math uh, learning center. I don't know if you guys have used that, but if you go to apps, for example, you want a geo board, right? And then you can go back to whiteboard.chat, right? You can embed that link inside whiteboard, right? And then the kids have access to the geoboard app as well, and they can play with it as yeah, there you go. So they can start playing with it on their side as well. It's super useful to embed websites, external websites onto whiteboard.chat directly, either YouTube videos or Whiteboard. There's a extensive math editor built in. There's a compass built in where you can draw circles. There's a math editor built in where you can write equations if you want to, right? So you can do very complex equations. You can do different types of equations with the math editor. On this three dots menu here, you can go to the help. There's like a teacher's guide, there's a student's guide, there's a math input guide, there's FAQ, right? So we have very extensive help, but the math input guide is what I'm opening. So you can see, you can write quadratic equations, you can write polynomials, you can write summations, you can do integrals, trigonometry, all of that stuff, right? So math teachers like it quite a bit, the math editor that is built in, right? There's a pointer built in as well. There are two types of pointers. So if you want to spotlight a certain section, you can see on the right, the student can see it as well on their screen. Or you can use the other pointer, which I like a little bit more, which is the snake pointer, right? It's a colorful snake. Uh, so you can highlight, you can make the snake do counting, you can do other stuff with the snake. So some teachers like that, some teachers don't. So they use it as a treat for kids as well. So then there are calculators built in as well. So there's a basic calculator. So like you can, on the basic calculator, you can observe the kids as they're using the calculator on their site. So if they're doing a math calculations, you can guide them that, hey, this is right, this is wrong. And you can hide all of these tools as well from a teacher's perspective, right? So there's another graphing calculator built in as well. So there is a graphing calculator, GeoGebra's graphing calculator built in. So you can embed that into whiteboard.chat directly and do all kinds of fun stuff with it, which I don't know how to use, but I'm supposing teachers do, right? There is a tile factory. So we have a whole bunch of manipulatives that we have on our site already, which I will show you. But some teachers wanted to create their own tiles, which they can give to the kids to manipulate around, right? So we created this tile factory where you can specify like letters of the alphabet, their colors, right? You can specify names, you can specify, you can put numbers, you can put anything you want, right? And you can put emojis even, right? If you have, if you want to put emojis, and it will create, and then you can set them to students can clone them or students can move them. By default, students don't see each other's work. They cannot erase even the teacher's work, right? But with the tile factory, you can create objects that the teachers or the students can move around. So you can set them to students can clone, right? And then hit create, and it'll create these things on the screen. And then the students have the ability to move them very easily, clone them around, move them around, make objects out of it. So you can play all kinds of games, all kinds of Scrabble with it, with the tile factory as well. Again, there's very extensive help on our YouTube that covers, on our YouTube channel, we have videos that cover specifically how to use the tile factory, how to use the group functions, all of those things. So if you want to review them. There's a table factory as well. So there's a table factory which you can use to create small tables. You can say, I want a 3x3 table, and it'll create a table for you, which you can use to type stuff in or put stuff in as you choose to see fit. Right? There is also a text box. So by default, I showed you that there is a text box. You don't need a text box, but if you want to give kids, younger kids specifically, a place to type, you can use the text box for that purpose. Right? So if you go to text box, if you want to, hey, I want you to write your answer right here, right, in this space. And what you can do is you can set the text box to add answers. So it will do auto corrections as well. So if you right click it, you can say, I want, this is worth 1 point. The answer is deep, right? And the kids can go, when they go to that page, and they just, very easy to use, they just click the text box and they can write in the text box the answer, and they can signal to the teacher, look, I'm done with this activity, right? And the teacher can then go correct, do auto corrections on that board, right? And you can see that it scores, gives them the score instantly and tells them that their answer is right, right? So they get instant notification as to what they're doing and how their work is being graded. And same thing even Sid did, right? So you can do it across students. Everybody gets to get their own notification, right? So I'll pause here for a second and see if there are any questions before I continue.
Yes, Pawan. So regarding the website tool, the embedding website tool, is there a way to control where the students can go so they don't go to an inappropriate spot?
So the embedding website tool, only the teachers can type the URL. The students cannot change the URL, right? So it's just the teacher who's putting the website there. And so they'll never be able to go anywhere. And even if, so this still is filtered by your school or your district's firewalls. So if you have firewalls in place, it's still restricted by that. So it's not just because it is embedded in whiteboard.chat doesn't mean that they can go anywhere. So you can see that there's no place for the students to enter the URL here.
Cool. Can the kids take screenshots to save their work?
Yeah, the kids, of course, you can take screenshots, but you can download all of your work. So this is the baby mode. I'll just change it to a less restrictive mode. So, so the kids have the ability to download their work. Oh, sorry, I should turn off this one. Okay. So now in this case, you can see that the kids have the ability to download their whole work as a PDF, or they can download a single page as well. Right? And when they download it, it downloads everything that they have done, and they can save it on Google Drive. Some teachers request them to submit it as Google Classroom activities, whatever else you need them to do. And the teachers also have the ability to download the whole class as a single PDF or one PDF per scholar as well.
Cool. If you have a document with multiple pages, can you make students go to a specific page?
Yes, so there is if you are doing teacher paced activities, you can go to this avatar menu up here on top. You can say follow teacher mode. So when follow teacher mode is set, then everybody follows the page the teacher is on.
Cool. I think we can keep going.
Okay. All right. So I think so we covered most of the tools in the, oh, we forgot the music instruments. Okay. So we recently added music instruments as well on music teachers' request. So we have a little xylophone, right? We actually have a little piano as well in here, right? So it's a 2-octave piano, so you can actually play music on whiteboard.chat as well. And whatever the teacher puts on, again, the students get it on their board as well, right? So the students will get the piano automatically on their board as well, right? So when the teacher puts it on. So then on, if we go up a little bit, you can see there is a media. You can add media. So you can use your webcam to record audio or video or take photos. The kids can do that too. So if their kids are doing work with piece of paper and pencil, they can actually just click this button and say, take a picture of my work, right? And then you can just save it on the board, and the teacher can just see it very easily on their grid view, and they can even join that board and do corrections so that you can interact with the student right there on the picture that they just took and uploaded on the board, right? You can also record audio. The kids can also record audio. So the kids have the ability, if you want them to read a paragraph, you can have them record audio, right? And then you can just click the start recording, say hello, 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 and then you can make sure it sounds good, and then you can just save it, right? And then the teachers have the ability to play it back at any time, and they can say what the kids played back, right? So it's super easy to add content either from a webcam audio or video or photos into whiteboard.chat as well. So going up a little bit more, there is this manage book where you can send copies of your workbook to co-teachers or teachers in your school who are in the same grade, right? As soon as they click it, it will make a copy for them so they can use it to teach their class. You can publish these to our community, which I will show you as well. And some of these other functions I will show you. I'll show you the time machine, which is a really cool feature as well. So if I go to, for example, SIDS was doing work asynchronously, right? I was not paying attention to what he was doing, but I can go back later in time and turn on the time machine and see how did he progress through his lesson, right? So you can see how much time did he spend drawing the tree, right? He spent like 5 minutes drawing the tree, and then how much time did he spend drawing the sun, and you can play it backwards and forwards and keep observing where the kids were struggling, what were they doing, and you can do that at a later stage anytime, right? You don't have to be connected for this thing. So going back to the instructor board, so I can show you some more things here. You can upload bingo, which I will do it at the end. So you guys get a chance to play bingo with us. You can download, which I showed you. There are grids built in. So there's like a basic grid built in. There is a big grid built in. This is useful for younger kids. This is almost like Excel, right? You can type in these little things very easily, right? And then you can have the kids do activities where they can type in these cells and do math activities if they have to, right? So they can just type in the cells really easily. There is a handwriting grid built in. There's a college line grid built in. You can also set the background whiteboard.chat. You can set the background color to a different color. So if you want to make it a little bit more look like a notebook, you can do that as well. And you can type, of course, and it auto aligns stuff on the grid as well. So you can keep typing and it'll align stuff nicely on the grids. There is a coordinate plane built in where you can specify the number of ticks you want, whether you want only positive grids, and then you can use that grid. There's a dot painter that goes along with it, so you can actually put dots on the coordinate plane as you want to. Right? There is a grid painter if you want kids to draw bar graphs or things of that nature. You can use that to create really nice bar charts as well with the grids that are available. right? There is a music sheet built in as well. So this goes along really nicely with some of the manipulatives, which I'll show you in a second. I'll stop here for a second and see if there are any questions. Sid, I think you're muted.
Sorry for that. There's a request to just go over the co-teachers feature so whenever you get to it, it'll be fine.
Okay, yeah. So in this avatar menu here, so I'll show you some of the features here. There's multiple things. You click this, you can make somebody a co-teacher, right? So if you want to make, like for example, the student doesn't have access to the grade, they don't have access to any of the other students, right? But if you want to make them a co-teacher, you can just click this and they become a co-teacher as well. So they have access to the grade view, and they have access exactly to all the instructor board, all of the same tools that the instructor would have. And you can have as many co-teachers as you want in the class, right? You can
And
undo the co-teacher from here as well.
the co-teachers can go to different students' board as well, right?
Yeah, they have all the same tools, so they can visit the student boards, they can go to the instructor boards, they get notifications if kids raise their hands, all of that, right? So it's exactly the same as a teacher, right? You can lock the class. You can say if you're doing an instruction or a test and you want to lock everything, and you want to put the answer key, you can do that. Students don't have ability to write anymore, but they still have read-only access. So if they want to go back and check their grades, their results, they can do that as well, right? You can lock individual pages instead of the whole book. So if you're done with page number 1, you lock it so that kids cannot go back to page number 1. You can do that as well. And I showed you follow teacher, which is teacher paste. There's a really cool chat built in whiteboard.chat as well. It's a one-to-many chat. So you can select the recipients. You can see who all want to receive the chat. You can chat with a subset of students or even one-on-one. And whatever the students reply, it only goes back to the teacher and nobody else. Unless they're in a group board, then they can chat with each other too. But the cool thing is that if you have English language learners or you're teaching a different language, the recipients can pick the language of their chat, right? So for example, if they want to, if the student only speaks Spanish, they can set the language to their chat to Spanish, right? And when the teacher types in English, right, it automatically gets converted in real time to Spanish. And whenever the students type in Spanish, it will get converted to English as well. So it's real-time language translation as well to over 100 languages. Right, and then we are done. You can delete the chat from here as well. Another
So,
thing you can
Pawan, one question about chat is in what environment do the kids will the kids be able to chat with each other?
only in group activities. Let me show you that. So when you create a group board, right? So what you can do is that you can create a group board easily with whiteboard.chat, right? If you want, let's say, kids to collaborate with each other, so you click this thing which says create group board, and you can invite the students you want to be part of this group, right? You invited these 3 students, you move them to the right. There are 3 different ways of creating groups. I'm going to show you the simplest one, right? And then you can say, what is the name of this group? I call it blue, and that's it. Right now, all the students are on the group blue board. So you can see that this is Sid's mouse here. So they can interact with each other. And now if I enable chat again, right, I had disabled it earlier, right? If I now on this group board, the kids can chat with each other, right? But even when even when the kids talk to each other, right? The copy is actually sent to the teacher as well. So the teacher gets an invite. Uh, this thing is still translating into Spanish because I set the language to Spanish, right? So you can see that even on group boards, the kids cannot erase each other's work, right? So if I try to erase Sid's work, I cannot do that. I can erase my own. I can never erase the teacher's, of course, right? And the teacher has the ability, if the teacher joins the group board, they can actually see who wrote what as well, right? So if you use the select tool from here and you click this guy, you can see, hey, this was last updated by Sid. So you can see who updated what at what time. right? So it's super useful even in group activities. And once you're done with the group activity, you can just click this thing next to the trash icon. It doesn't delete the group, but it sends the students back to their individual boards, right? And that's it. You're done with the group activity, and now they cannot chat with each other. They can only chat with the teacher. Right? There's a timer built in here as well. So there are 3 different types of timer. There's a basic timer, which you can say set for 5 minutes, and it'll start counting down on everybody's board. If you want to turn it off, you can just click here and turn it off. Right? There's another way to set the timer to expire at a certain date and time, or on a student joining the board. So if you want to give students like 10 minutes from the time they start the board activity, you can set this type of timer. And as soon as they click in and join the board, they'll be given 10 minutes, right? And you can auto lock it after that, saying once the timer expires, the boards get locked automatically. And you can individually lock boards, you can individually unlock boards as well. There's a cool new feature we added yesterday, which is you can make a call to an individual student, right? So for example, if you want to quickly, if you are already on a call, you want to mute the rest of the class and you just want to see their screen, you can just click this call icon and you can make a call, for example, to the student. They'll get an accept or deny, and they can, which screen they want to share or an application window that they want to share, right? You can see that they can see the teacher and the teacher can see their screen, right? So as they're doing their work, you can guide them, right? And their voice is there as well. And you can turn it off by clicking here, and that's it. So you can make individual calls with a single click to view the kids' work and talk to them live, right, from here as well. Okay, so we go back to the Manipulatives. So this is my music sheet. So in this palette here, there's a bunch of manipulatives. So if you click this palette, right, you have a basic color picker. There's millions of colors you can pick from here. But if you want the kids to have access to a basic, more easier, kid-friendly color picker, you can use that. And on the right-hand side here are all of the manipulatives, right? So there's like maths, symbols for younger kids if you want them to use those for equations, right? There is music symbols, of course, for the music sheet. So you can actually write music, sheet music, you can do music theory, right? There's letters of the alphabet, uppercase, numbers, magnetic letters, right? So you can put those here. You can create your own objects as well. So it's very easy. You just cut paste something from the internet or a bit emoji, you can, and then you right click it and say add to my palette, and you can create your own object palette as well. There's phonograms built in, right? So phonogrammic tiles. I showed you the other ones already, but these are, so the math manipulators built in. So there is like 100 blocks, 10 blocks. All of these objects you can set so that students can clone and move around, which I will show you as well, right? Oops. So it's easy for the kids to move them around. You can see as they're moving it around. There's a protractor, there is rulers, right? There's axes, there are shapes, there's a 10 frame, there's number bonds, there's place value charts, place value disk, number lines, arches, fraction tiles, right? Fraction circles. And it's super easy for us to add new stuff to it. So if something is missing, reach out to us. We can really easily add new things into this as well. There's 3D shapes, right? So we have 3D shapes built in as well. There are reward stickers, of course, trophies and such. There's patterns, right? There is US currency, UK currency. So we have like coins and bills from around the world, which teachers have asked us to put, right? Australian, EU, Canadian, Malaysian, Indian. There's chemistry, atoms to do molecule constructions and stuff. I don't even know how to use these, but teachers have asked us to put these. There's different languages, Russian, French, Hindi, Tamil. There are animal stickers, right? So teachers use it to teach languages or basic biology, right? And we have seasonal stickers like Valentine's Day stickers, New Year stickers, emojis, right? all of these things we can put on there's thinking maps, right? So there's like Venn diagrams, bridge maps, brace maps, flow maps, and all of these objects, the kids or the teacher can animate as well. So you can actually have animations for anything that you draw or anything that um, you put on the screen, right? So it's just for fun to catch attention, but you can actually have all of the objects being animated and moving around on the screen as well. Let me pause for a second and see if there are any other questions. Right? Keep going.
Yes. So how do you save various stages of student work during the class?
So you cannot save on different stages. What happens is that the last copy is automatically saved in the cloud. But if you want to download as PDFs and keep them, you can do that. If you want to just keep downloading as PDFs once in a while.
Can you clone a board to share with another teacher? I don't want to co-teach. I want to build my own, but share it with them for their use. Is that possible?
Yes, so that's what I was showing you in the manage book. So if you go to manage book, you can click this, say send a copy, and you copy this link and send it to another teacher. And when they click it, it will make a copy of that board for them to teach in their class. It won't copy any of your students. It won't copy any of the students' work, just the instructor board, the template.
Cool. Yeah, you can keep going, Pawan.
And there are widgets that we have built in as well. So there's like a analog clock. There's a programmable spinner. So the programmable spinner, you can put anything as options, right? Right, and then you can update it, and then you can use it to play group games. You can teachers play pump games and so forth with the programmable spinner as well. There is also there is also a dice, a super dice built in, which you can, again, it is also programmable. So you can have a collection of fractions, digits, alphabets, anything that you want, and a different number of dice, right? And then you can have them roll it. It'll just keep generating a random numbers out of it for forever, right? So those are the basic widgets that are built into whiteboard.chat. So what I'll do at this point is that I'm going to create a bingo board, and I'll invite you guys to play bingo with me on the bingo board. And we'll do one more activity where I'll ask you to put a heart on the board from where you are from right now, right? Where you're. So let's do that. So I'm going to create a new board. You go to start drawing, start teaching. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is put a world map in here, right, on page number 1. Right, you can say continent. Right, so there's a world map that I put on the screen. I'm going to put a Valentine's heart, which you can clone and put on the screen as well. So I'll go here. Or maybe a candy. Why not a candy? Okay, let's put a candy. All right, so then, and then we're gonna resize it. Right, and then I use the select tool and say students can clone. So you can make copies of it and move it around as you choose to see fit. For that, you have to use the move tool. So there is this move tool here. If you use the move tool and then first click the move tool and then click the candy and drag it, it'll take you to the right place. Right, and on the second page, we'll upload a bingo bingo tile, right? So the way the bingo tiles are created is that each PDF, each page in the PDF, it's a different type of PDF, but each page in the PDF is a different bingo tile, right? And you can just tell whiteboard.chat that I'm uploading a bingo, upload bingo. So it will randomly assign one page to each participant who joins the board, right? And this can be any kind of bingos, or we have a lot of different bingo tiles, but on page number 2, we'll put this bingo tile so you can see it. So I'm going to put this invite link in the chat. So if you, in the Zoom chat, so if you click it, it'll open it. to this page. So the first activity is use the move tool to put this candy where you come from. And on the second page, you can go and play bingo with the drawing tool or any of the other tools that you choose to see fit.
So, Pawan, a couple of quick questions if you want to answer those. Can you prevent a student from adding widgets to their board?
Can you prevent the students from adding widgets to? Yeah. So on the gear menu here, there is a customized menu options for students. So you can just set simple or very simple tools, but if you want to customize to the nth degree, you can actually customize the tools that they see or don't see. Right? So you can go here and say, nope, they don't have ability for the palette, the lasso. You can even set their font size, their brush size, or the color, which I don't like personally because you're taking away colors from the student, but I understand why teachers would want to do that, because children spend hours picking the right color for the pen. Right?
Great. Uh, will we be adding support for Microsoft OneDrive anytime?
Nobody's asked us that. If you think that would be useful, we can look into it. So I think we should note it down. So yeah, the good thing about playing bingo with whiteboard.chat is that you can see the whole class playing bingo, right? And you can cheat a little bit. So you can see, hey, which kids are not getting their tiles done properly and which ones are, right? So then you can actually cheat a little bit and see how they're, who's performing, who's not performing, right? And call out numbers appropriately. So yeah, you can change the side of the grid as well. So if you click this gear menu next to it, if you want a bigger grid, if you want to see up to 20 students per page, you can do that. Right? If you want to cycle through pages, you can use the page number thing on the bottom here to cycle through pages as well. Right? But you can see up to, well, we don't have that many people in this thing, but if we had more, you could see up to 20 pages.
Cool.
All right. So I think we are pretty much done with most of the things we wanted to cover in this session. I think we for some reason we have a lot lower at. Oh, well, let me show you one last thing. So in this manage board section, all of the work that I am doing gets saved automatically. Right. So if I were to call this, what's the date today? At 3rd. So if I were to call this Feb 3rd bingo, right? If I go to manage boards here, so all of the work that I'm doing, as well as all the work students are doing on my board, gets saved to my account automatically. So if they're working asynchronously, the students can connect at any time. The teacher doesn't need to be connected. They can go back to their board by just clicking the invite link and it'll take them back to their board. You can see all of the student boards along with my boards saved, right? These do expire, so keep an eye on the expiry date, and you can extend it easily by clicking this clock icon and it'll extend it out by a month. And teachers have shared, so some of our teachers on our who have worked with us, they have shared their work for free. So you can go to this community board and you can see all the work for different subjects, for different grade levels, from different parts of the world being shared, right? So you can actually look at how other people have used whiteboard.chat before. Greek gods. This is so cool. All right, so I'm going to stop the Zoom recording now, I think, but feel free to unmute yourself after that. And if you have questions or if there are some things that we can work with you, we can